everybody for tuning in. If you are just joining in on the podcast, there is a very strong chance that I am alt-tabbing out like I'm not supposed to. If this is your first time here in the chat, hi. Welcome to Heroines of the Cherry Blossom. Of course, I am Pizza Maid, head maid in charge here, and along with me, I have my lovely co-host, Sushi Geisha. Hi, Sushi.
Hello. Hi, Pizza. Hi, chat. Hello.
We are so excited to be here, guys, with you tonight. Episode 2 on December 4th, 2015. We had a wonderful first episode, a couple tweaks, things we were learning along the way. Of course, we still had a couple of tweaks and things to learn along the way this episode as well. I started at 8.
Okay.
It's okay. I started at 8 o'clock, but I figured it out. We had an amazing first episode, which thanks in part to you guys. We really, truly do appreciate it. We did want to give everybody a disclaimer to let you guys know that, yes, this show, as well as any format of this show, whether it be YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, they are 18 plus. But we also did want to make the disclaimer that as we're talking about very serious stuff here, very serious content, a lot of very strong sexual content as well, we want this area, specifically this chat, and all of you guys to feel very comfortable and to feel very safe in this space. So please, chat, we do want to encourage, if there is any questions, input, or feedback that you want to give us, and you may be afraid that it's a little too risque or a little too taboo, throw those reservations out the window.
Definitely.
We want to be open to everybody's opinions. We actually got a lot of wonderful feedback on Twitter and social media, as well as on YouTube with regards to a couple of the topics that we discuss. We want you to know that we really wholeheartedly appreciate it, and we're very, very thankful for that. And please, there is nothing here that is taboo. This is a very safe space for us to talk about the things that we enjoy, no matter how graphic or how strong it could be. So we wanted to put out that disclaimer to you first. So yeah. That was that. How'd I do?
Great.
Awesome. Perfect. Okay. You're going to have to forgive me, guys. I'm going to be doing a little bit of turning because I am working on a different format here this evening and get everything going on the road. But a lot of things that we had happen this week were actually a lot of fun. I would have to say our What Are You Playing segment this week. Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting. So,
yeah.
Sushi, let me take it to you first. What are you playing this week?
Well, I've actually played 4 games this week. Well, in the past 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Because of your naughty influence, I'm now addicted to Final Fantasy XIV, which is not an Otome, but I can make it one, and I have. So
we made our own CGs last night. It was magical.
I'm just going to tell you that Cat Boys and Dragon Boys, greatest thing ever invented, ever.
We salute you.
Thank you. Or what, like this, right?
Okay. Till sea swallows all. Till semen swallows all. Nope. Oh no, not wrong. Not that one. I'll figure it out.
And okay, so on the Otome side, I'm still trying to play through Amnesia for the blog, for the routes. I'm on Toma. Mm-hmm. And I played his originally in Japanese, and going back through in English is even more traumatic. And that's all I'm going to say. I don't like to give spoilers. And if you follow me on Twitter, I probably gave you spoilers, so I'm terribly, terribly sorry. And I played Hatoful Boyfriend, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Mm-hmm. I did one route, and then I've hooked onto the Men of Yoshiwara, and we'll talk about that later too. But so that's been wonderfully taking up my time. But what about you, Pizza? What have you been up to?
Well, of course, I am a staple to the Final Fantasy XIV. I have been playing an awful lot lately, Pizza Maid, because she happens to find herself enchanted, dazzled, bewitched by this very, very handsome cat boy named Takashi. And Takashi's a good boy.
He is. He's a very good boy.
He's a real good boy. God bless man cats, let me tell you. So we were playing there. I did a lot of work actually on the maid cafe. Aside from having and hiring new staff members for cat maids or maids at the cafe, I also recently found on Ultros, which is predominantly more of a PvE, PvP based server, an RP group. And the RP group was so excited that I had a cafe. They're like, what is this cafe you speak of? I'm like, oh, let me show you. And they came in, they're like, you really put in all your money and all this furniture into making a maid cafe. I go, it's not just a cafe. It's a maid cafe. And I served them all pizzas too. I was like, it's tomato pies. It's a tomato pie maid cafe.
That's awesome.
And they absolutely loved it. So I have regular visitors coming in, which is awesome. If you guys are on Ultros, definitely feel free to stop by. It's a good time there. And aside from that, though, I have also been playing some Otomes. I finally finished up the Spade route in Amnesia with Icky.
Yeah.
I lived, but payback's a bitch. I'll leave it at that. And I was like, oh, Icky, no. And then I played the Toma route, actually on the Pizza Maid stream, twitch.tv/Pizza Maid. I got to wear a maid Lolita suit.
Yeah.
But I was also on display at Petco. I'll let you all figure it out if you watch the replay. That VOD was just literally me the entire time going, no, no, no. It was very depressing.
There's a point when you love him at first. You're just like, oh my God, you're so perfect. Like, you love me, you take care of me. And then you're like, things are getting weird. And then you're like, well, shit. It's just all downhill from this point.
Well, the thing was I had chosen the character completely on a whim, and as I was playing early on in it, it reminded me of my own significant other, Simodian. I'm like, oh, this is just like Simodian. At the end, I was like, I'm so sorry, Simodian, that I even compared you to him. And he's like,
I can't believe.
He's like, serves you right. No, he actually just laughed about it, and he himself actually did Amnesia too, which on a first blind run of Heart, I believe, on Shin, got a normal ending. I was impressed.
I was so blown away. He got the normal ending and he lived. And I was like, how did you cheated?
He actually hashtagged it Samnesia, and the entire time he's like, I'm fucking Scooby-Doo. This is like the mystery machine going on right here. I'm like, you're not far off. I could see that. But he enjoyed it. He just wanted to give it a shot. And I believe we also have one of the other members from another podcast that we're good friends with, For the Lore. He wants to actually try Amnesia as well. I'm a little nervous to see how Roger, Zen Buddhist, holds up with this. But I have the utmost faith that he can actually get a good ending. If he can completely get past Orion, I think he'll be all right. So I was doing that. The Men of Yoshiwara. I am so excited to talk about that.
Me too.
CGs. I got my water ready. I got 2 bottles this week.
Not one.
But aside from that, I did Neko Otome, which is kitty collector, because I'm just practicing in preparation if I become a crazy cat lady. I'm doing pretty good so far. So I'm pretty proud of myself there.
Good.
Yeah, so I did that, and then fighting games-wise on the PS Vita, I've been playing Dengeki Bunko Fighting Climax, which I'm really excited about. That's a fun game. If you're a fan of popular anime shows like Shirogana no Shina or Shana, Excel World, Sword Art Online, a couple other ones, you can play a fighting game with those characters. So that's what I've been up to this week.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely been a good time. But yeah. Since I can't open the show notes right now because I can't really tab out, what's our next subject?
Our next subject is Hatful Boyfriend.
Okay.
So wait, I just want to say, this show we will talk about Hatful Boyfriend. We're actually going to offer a gift list as well, for that special Otome player in your life. And we'll have links and money, costs, all that stuff, for you in the chat and on our YouTube and all that stuff. So, but I think you'll definitely want to, get involved with the discussion of Hatful Boyfriend.
I will have to say, upon first impression, and I'm going to be very frank and very forward about this because we are currently in our safe Otome circle, our Otome space. I kind of felt a little slighted in the sense that I thought that it was mocking other popular Otome games and that it was kind of making a jest at them, kind of making a jab at them. So I really, immediately, I was turned off. And as a New York resident, the last thing I ever enjoy or want to see are pigeons. So why would I invest X number of dollars into playing a game where I would romance a pigeon where typically in New York City, what I want to do is shoo them all away. So I had some very mixed reservations about it at first. And it wasn't until you and me got into discussion about it, and I know numerous friends of mine who have played Hot Wolf Boyfriend, they actually really got dedicated and invested into it. And I'm like, is this the My Little Ponies, like the Bronies, like revival, but just now with pigeons? I wasn't entirely sure. That was honestly a true impression as to what I thought about it. I'm like, wow, maybe everybody's really getting into this because they think that it's like bronies, and maybe within pigeons, friendship is magic. And I mean, we talked about it last week. There's a lot of people dedicated to their pigeons. And it wasn't until Sushi, I think you got to play. I'm very curious to get your insight on it based on what we had been talking about back and forth.
Right. So, and you can go back to our very first podcast, and I politely trashed that game probably because much like you, I took it as you're mocking this, and I even remember saying this is like how audiences are seeing Otome. This is how they're being exposed to it, and they're being exposed to it with birds. And I also took it as, a more traditional, maybe even mobile Otome. Like, I just didn't think it would be super serious. So I wanted to play it because on Twitter we had talked about it, and I think Chestnut kind of started the conversation, and they said, I really like that game. And so I said, educate me, tell me why. And everything that they said lined up with everything I felt about my first Otome. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe there's more here than I give it credit for. Because I saw that passion, And so I streamed it on Monday, I think. And
I think it was Monday.
It was, it made me feel like I was right. It didn't change my mind at all. It was a fun game. Like, don't get me wrong. It was fun. And it was silly. And I like that sometimes. But it didn't change my mind at all. But another thing that Chestnut suggested is that I listened to a podcast where a group of people played Hatful Boyfriend. And then they came together and they talked about it. And I got to listen to it today. And it's really, really good. And I think it's the Aggro Chat podcast. And
support Aggro Chat and Belle and Tamriel and Kodra, I think it is. So go check them out.
Yeah, I think Smashy can drop in a link to the specific podcast. And I will warn you, there are spoilers galore. So if you have played it, I would encourage you definitely. It was a great podcast, beautifully broken down, just so like natural and flowing and everything. But if you have not played the game and you don't want spoilers, don't listen. But I would, if you don't mind spoilers, I would encourage you to. It made me want to go back and play the game. I learned so much from that podcast. It was crazy. Like, I have notes.
And now also to note, the Aggro Chat podcast is very open and diverse in the topics and subjects that they speak about. So it seemed as if I am interpreting this correctly, that the people who were discussing it in this episode of the podcast, some of them had maybe new a new experience to Otome games or possibly to visual novels. And I think we really it was hard to discern that at first, but then you learn as you get along, like this is an entirely new experience for them. So hearing it from them with new eyes is very exciting for Otome players that have played, years and years worth of Otome. So that's really exciting. I wish more podcasts would do that. Please follow in the footsteps of Aggro Chat. I really, really encourage it. I think that's awesome. So
Yeah. I mean, it was so great. And I won't lie. At first, I picked it up and I even texted Pizza and I was like, I'm an Otome snob. Like, I'm such a terrible person. I'm like, they're just discovering Otome games, and I put it down. And I was at work, and so I went to a meeting and I came back and I was like, I need to just finish this. I'm a better person. I'm not a bad person. And then I couldn't stop listening to it. It was so good. But the best part for me was like the last, I guess, 30 minutes. And it was when they went through kind of all the things that I went through. Like, is this really an Otome game? Or is this a visual novel? Why do you like it? Was there really a lot of romance involved? Like, it was just all these things. And they were so beautifully processing it. And I think Tam in chat, he was the one on the podcast who, and I felt so bad for him, but I related to him. He goes, I hated this game. He's like, all you guys were like talking about how great it was, and I absolutely hated it. And I was like, oh, my ears perked up. And
sorry.
What was so amazing is that he had actually played other visual novels and Otome games before picking up Hatoful Boyfriend, and none of the other people had. And I thought that just made me feel good because for a couple of ways, I didn't feel so terrible for hating this game that apparently, it has drama CDs.
And a web series.
Drama CDs for my anime.
I found the web series also. Let me tell you. Top-notch AAA animation. Interesting drama CDs. I stopped and I actually got very ashamed of myself that I got so excited at the prospect of drama CDs. I'm like, what? I want to hear the drama CDs. Is there like bird puffing? Is it like
18 plus?
Like I don't know how that works. So I got excited for a second and then I saw it and I was like, oh no, it's regular dialogue.
But it was great because it made me appreciate the game a lot more and want to play it, not only for the story, but because they all said that because of that game, they would consider playing like more Love Sims than they had ever thought that they would ever play. And that was so awesome for me to hear because we're trying to build a community in the NA. And so even if it has to come from birds, I'll take it. You know what I'm saying?
See, I had this discussion earlier this week on Twitter. There is a very long section of dialogue, specifically with For the Lore Zen Buddhist, where we were talking about visual novels and just some different, it carries some of the same DNA things that an Otome game has. And you're seeing it in more popular titles out there. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Telltale games with specific regards to The Walking Dead and more prevalent for Life is Strange. I feel that Life is Strange may not exactly be directly an Otome, but definitely has strong visual novel elements. And the way in which you play the game, which is a little more interactive and a little more engaging than you would with your usual click and point Otome game, you're still really trying to forge relationships. And I know that a lot of people who played games such as Life is Strange, they were completely shipping the Max and Chloe relationship. I apologize if this is a spoiler for anybody, but they really wanted to try to bring the relationship between the female protagonist and her best friend to something on an elevated level. I feel like that has a lot of the same genetic background that you would see in Otome. It's just done in a different way, and that's just because of the Western development and fashion. So I feel that Hatoful Boyfriend, in the same regard, if I'm not mistaken, comes from a Japanese developer. It definitely, in my mind, seems more like a visual novel, but it's attracting new eyes. I think, and we discussed this when we were talking earlier, I think the reason why it was done even as a love simulation with some really fucked up sci-fi elements, if you do that big bad love ending, I think it did that as a means to attract not just a specific demographic or a niche audience. It's widely known, and it's not much of a surprise that most Otome games primarily attract a lot of, younger to middle age and sometimes older female demographics. Hatoful Boyfriend attracted both male and female, and I think that it did that so well because of the fact that it was fucking pigeons. It really did.
And also, like, listening to their podcast, and I can say for my route, the one I did, which apparently I picked the one bird whose story didn't connect at all with like the true story. But there was no real romance. Like, I got the good ending.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know if we were dating, if we slept together, if we were just friends. Like, I had no clue other than he now accepted me, and that was that.
With the experience that you have from Hakuoki, Scarlet Fate, and a myriad of other Otomes, you wanted to sleep with a pigeon? Is that what you're telling me?
No, but there are certain...
I'm just kidding.
No, that's what I'm getting at. There are certain aspects of it where it's like, okay, there are just certain things that in an Otome game, if you're dating that guy.
Mm-hmm. If you're romantically involved with him.
Yeah. In this game, I didn't know. And as a side note, the CGs, which I am a CG addict, were just not anything like you would expect. They were not traditional CGs. It was like a wallpaper kind of, and it was hand drawn, like just a bird with a heart or something.
I think more than anything, I feel as if Hatoful Boyfriend is in a league of its own. It was it was made in an attempt to attract female audiences with love and romance, as much as you can love and romance a bird without being illegal. And then it was also meant to attract just other demographics for just comedic purposes, which it did just that. And we actually ran a poll, and this was what was really interesting to me. Is we ran a poll on Cherry Blossom-Heroines' Twitter page saying, "What are your thoughts on Hatoful Boyfriend?" And I believe the choices were absolutely not, "Hey, I thought it was funny," and "Oh my God, I'm in love with pigeons." It wound up being, I think, like 31. Actually, I should just pick it up right now. I believe it wound up being 31, 38, 30. The fact that it divided just so equally to it, I feel as if that gives a lot of props and compliments to the game itself, because it attracted so many different opinions on it. There are some people that were absolute no. And if I were to make an assumption, and this is just, off the top of my head an assumption, those are probably the diehard Otome fans that were like, absolutely no. I tried it and I thought it was an absolute shit show. I'd never play it again. How dare they mock us? The people that thought it was funny was just the general public's, consensus. And then the people that were diehard into it,
they're probably now Otome players.
There's a pigeon community now. There is straight up a pigeon community. So, ultimately, that's what I thought about that. It was very, very exciting to me just to see that it wasn't leaning on one side or the other. It was actually across the board. And that obviously has something to say about the game. And if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, I think there's a Hatoful Boyfriend 2 coming up.
There's a holiday one as well. So...
I don't want that for Christmas. I don't want that for Christmas.
No, I don't either. But I would say that after listening to their podcast and everything, I feel that it is more of a visual novel with some Otome tones. But I definitely will play it. After listening to their podcast and hearing more of the story, I want to see it for the story. The little bit I played, there was no romance. And there was no real, like, I didn't know if he liked me, if he didn't like me. And then at the end, it was like, oh, here's my traumatic story in 3 minutes and end. And I'm like, what?
And to their credit too, I could easily see why it was perceived as an otome when you just look at the game alone and it's a pink background with white hearts and you know it's marketed as such. It's marketed as an otome, but to be very straightforward about it, it is definitely just a visual novel. It definitely is. And if you're into birds, I'm sure there's something on the internet for that too. I don't know the name. Rule 34 it. Go with it. But listen, and this was honestly the point that I had made to it. A lot of, and I keep going back to this, and I keep making reference to this, a lot of bronies that are out there that are absolutely in love with My Little Ponies because of the community and the fandom that they've grown and created from it. And, you know, it's perceived by so many as being disgusting, or it gets ridiculed, mocked, bullied. But the thing is that for them, friendship is magic in the sense that they actually just want a happy, cheerful disposition. Right. I believe the same can be said for the Hatoful pigeon community as well. Do I necessarily agree with that? No, it's not for me. But, you know, all power to you, because I'm sure there's people that look at my 2D men and are like, really? You have a community based off, you know, sexy 2D men and CGs? You objectify men when they're taking off the robes? And the answer is yes. Yes, it is.
Yes, we do. Yes.
And that's the honest truth of it. So we haven't had enough. See, I'm even getting, the cops are coming. I can hear the sirens. They're ready to take me. I'm going to get under arrest for all the CGs that I've collected. So
do you want to move into the Men of Yoshiwara or do the list now?
Got to open the second bottle. We could do the Men of Yoshiwara, but I need to double fist this right now. Go ahead. Go for it.
So the Men of Yoshiwara, it is on Steam, and we'll link it later. It's definitely on our gift list. You need to give that. I gave it to Pizza.
Yes. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Pay it forward, people. Just pay it forward. It's not perfect. There is no voice acting.
No.
The translation is a little bit weird at times, but you understand what it's saying.
I think that the translation for it, the localization's on point. I feel like they just don't know the use of onomatopoeias, because their interpretation of moaning and sex noises seems to me the same noises you would make when running a marathon. If you can get past that, dude, you're golden for this game. You're absolutely golden.
The CGs are gorgeous. The CGs are beautiful, and I've played 3 routes, and I forget how many there are.
There's 6 routes. There's 6 routes in the game.
Okay. The guys are all very, very different, but still within the same kind of vein that you usually find. I know that I'm in the middle of streaming a route that you recommended. And as you can see by Kat and chat, everyone loves that route. Like, it was hot. It was really, really hot. And the story behind it was just really well done. It was probably the first time in a long time where I played an Otome game where what I said, after I clicked, the female protagonist said it. And I was like, what the hell? Like, normally that never happens. Normally it's like, okay, whatever, you know. But this, she was like pushing back, and she was like, you know, she realized that she needed to improve herself, but she didn't beat herself up about it and be like, well, I'm a terrible person. She was like, oh yeah, I never thought about that, because I've never had to think about that. I'm fine. But then the other parts are just great. The smile comes back every time, like my crooked smile. I think if you watch the VOD, like after a certain point, I'm just like,
And it was funny because my preconceived notions of the Men of Yoshiwara at first were purely comedic, purely entertainment purposes. Like, this was going to be a laughable game to me. And I thought that because the route that you had taken at first, the Tokiwa, made me laugh. I was like, oh, okay, so this is just, you know, a cookie cutter, run-of-the-mill, standard indie Otome. Okay. There's not much that I'm going to actually feel like heartstrings get tugged with it. But on a random whim, I had chosen Kagura, who is the basic stereotype of the very strong, silent type, very reserved, very cool and collected, and very much athletic and very smart. I normally go for those routes, but by appearance alone, I wasn't initially going to go with him. It was just kind of one of those, okay. If I actually had like a D20 die, I probably would have chosen that way too, but I just didn't have one. I chose him at random, and I am in love with this storyline. This storyline on the first run, super happy ending, which I was really excited about. The CGs,
They vary between cute and very spicy. And that's a nice balance. That is a great balance when you have that.
it was the first route in a long time when playing at Otome that I actually felt a serious investment of relationship, which is why I'm really excited to see you finish the route. Because when I was watching you play the VOD on Wednesday night, you had made some choices different to mine, and there was one critical choice that you made that was different to mine, and I went, oh my God, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Is she still going to get the same route that I did? Oh no, like, I don't know what's going to happen. And I will also highly suggest to you, with this game as well, which is very exciting about it, there is a prologue, there's the main story subset, there's a date category where it doesn't have any choices chosen whatsoever. You just go through the date. You collect some really good CGs out of there. And then there's like an alternative sub-story line. Sushi, play those on Kagura. Call me. Call me. I shit you not. I had to walk away because my face was blushing red, and I had to go outside back home in Pennsylvania to just cool my face off. I was like, oh God, what is going on? Is this real life? I'm sorry, Simodian, I forgot your name for like 2 hours that night. I promise I remembered. Like when I play the Men of Yoshiwara, I'm gonna have to remember to write your name on my hand so I don't forget, and just keep a picture of you right next to me, going, "Yes, I'm taken. I'm not single. Yes, I'm not single. Okay."
But yeah, I mean, even playing it live, I've noticed like sometimes when I'm playing in Otome live, I don't get as emotionally invested because I'm looking at chat, and you feel kind of silly with other people maybe watching you. Mm-hmm. But I totally lost myself in that route.
You do. You get immersed for sure.
Yeah, and I was really impressed. So I'm definitely gonna finish that. I'm gonna keep streaming it. I'm gonna keep. We're going all the way, all the way.
I went all the way. I don't regret it. I don't. But I will say this, and this is actually very, very important. And very rarely does this happen to me in Otome games, but in this particular instance, I do need to make it clear. With the Men of Yoshiwara, when choosing a route, especially for your first route, be open-minded of the supporting NPCs that are considered romanceable options and other routes that you can play. I noticed for myself specifically when going the Kagura route that my opinions of other romanceable options in the game actually left a bit of a bitter taste in my mouth. So when I started playing a new route, just to see what else was out there, it started off on the wrong foot. And I found myself very turned off by them going, well, I remember what you did to Kagura and Kagura's route. You're a dick. And you can't do that. You really have to be open-minded and try to come into it with a bit of a fresh palette. It's a little hard to do that if you choose Kagura as the first route. Does this mean you shouldn't take him as the first route? By all means, it's entirely your choice. The world is your oyster, but just keep that in mind when just playing the other routes. And this doesn't happen to me very often in Otomes. I don't know if it does for you as well, Sushi, but I noticed that I had a very awkward feeling. I felt very cautious against Takao when playing his route because of how he was in the Kagura route.
You should always be cautious of that man. Always. Like, even in his route and out of his route.
But when you think about it, though, it's going to change the actual outcome of the game if you really think about it, because you're not going to feel as forward. You're not going to feel as daring and as maybe free thinking in that route if you do that. And that is a challenge that comes to certain Otome games. I haven't felt it so much in Amnesia. I actually didn't feel it at all whatsoever in Hakuoki or any of the Shaoli dates. Scarlet Fate left me that way with a specific route, but it was very minimal. This one, I actually felt a very strong, like, adamant discouragement towards Takao because I played Kagura first. Do I regret it? Slightly, but, you know, that's just the luck of the draw, so.
Right. Yeah, I did his route first. And that just, yeah, it is what it is. But his route affected me for Tokiwa-san's route. Because he was in the first one and he did some things where I was like, excuse me? So when I got to his route, I really was not as sympathetic to him or to his issues, because I was like, I know what you did to me and I don't appreciate that. You know what I mean? So yeah, you definitely, especially in that game, you're absolutely right. Like, you really need to say, okay, it's a new route. That other thing didn't happen. So, you know, go into it with a fresh mindset. But I love it. We've suggested it to a couple of people on Twitter, I know. And I know that they're making a second one.
I'm so excited.
And I'm hoping that we'll get it on Steam, because they seem on the website, it seems like they're very happy with how worldwide it is and how popular it is. So the minute that shit gets released, I'm taking like a month off of work. And I'm just like, or it's just,
when
Otomes downstairs, it'll be fine.
We still have an income supporting the household. We'll be okay.
Right?
The electricity's staying on.
I'll just go to my boss, be like, hi, I just brought home a bunch of hot guys that are male prostitutes that I really need to work on right now. So I'll see you later. I guess we should explain the story behind it.
Yeah, the story behind... wait, are we talking about 1 or 2?
No, 1, sorry.
Okay. Oh, okay, no. So the story behind, as I've interpreted, tell me if I'm wrong, for the Men of Yoshiwara, Kikuya, is that there is a island separated from the mainland. And on that island, you know, some men are bought into brothels as courtesans, either for maybe past criminal activity, maybe bought due to the fact that they couldn't pay a debt, they were sold into it. And basically, their only real reason for living, breathing, and surviving is to work as a courtesan at these brothels, entice women, romance women, and, as they quote-unquote, be husband and wife for a night so that they can receive their due payment and hopefully repay their debts in whatever capacity that is. You, as the female protagonist, come in completely by accident, stumbling upon a parade that was going by and seeing one of the most popular courtesans, which was Takao. And because of that, I believe you accidentally run into Kikuya, and it's there that you meet the general manager and I guess the head dude in charge, the HDIC, Iroha, and he tells you, okay, well, I have a myriad of great men. And in all this, their impression of you is entirely different of who you are as a person. You're literally just the daughter of a shipping agent back on the mainland. They think, based on just appearances and what you're clothed and dressed as, they think that you're a woman of great riches. And so, of course, they're going to try to lure you to buy one of their men for the night. And they say, well, we have a myriad of men to choose from. And in true Otome form, all the men come out and you look at them and you go, okay, I like that one, but I don't like this one. This is Burger King. I want to have it my way. So I think I'm going to go with that one. And you basically get to choose all the routes. And the stories are very different, very, very different, especially depending on who you choose, because they're very different character archetypes. Some, in my opinion, are very comedic. Tokiwa-san and the Jade Bracelet will never escape my mind. But I really, really loved Kagura-san and even his little mini assistant, as Sushi affectionately calls Junior, Kageru. It's an interesting storyline for it, and you find yourself really getting immersed into the story. This is not a AAA title Otome. This is an indie developed Otome game. And I think that for what they've done, and without having the backing of a very popular developer or publisher behind you, I think they did a really, really good job. The CG art is amazing.
Yeah.
The music actually sets the tone. It sets the pace for you. And the storyline is gripping depending on which route you choose. So
I will add that they are locked. They are not allowed to leave the building. They may be able, some of them may be able to go to the gate of the town.
Or the shrine.
Or the shrine. God bless the shrine. If you can go to that shrine, guys, you go to that shrine and you stay behind that bush and you just watch, because it's a beautiful, beautiful sight. But the only way they can leave the island is if they are bought by a rich woman, which is painfully pointed out in a terribly sad way that, once again, that's not freedom for them. If they're being bought by a rich woman, they're still being kept. They're still not allowed to be who they are. Or they retire, and that pretty much means they pay all the money and they can retire. Like, it's an ungodly amount of money.
Yeah, repaying your debts.
Yeah. Or they run away and escape. And if you do, it's punishable by death, pretty much, or worse than death, according to some of the routes. So, that it does have a more serious side. And in some of the routes, it's expressed a little bit more. And it really seems to have a bigger effect on the guy that you are, maybe romancing, or maybe you don't want to romance him, you just want to see him. But it definitely has, it was just, I really like that part of the story. So it kind of has a nice mix of the fun, silly stuff, the romance, sexy stuff. There is sexy time in there, guys. I'm just telling you, it's not explicit. This is not a porn.
It's tastefully done. It's tastefully done, for sure.
But there are some things that Sushi cannot read on her live stream, because I get giggly and I blush. So
even some pictures make you red in the face. I caught that a couple times. And I'm not even talking about the daffodil. I'm not even talking about it.
I had side boob come up and I didn't know that was happening.
Wait until you see the date. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It's kind of a porn, but it's a soft porn.
Yeah.
It's very descriptive. I will give you that. They used adjectives on point. Onomatopoeias, not so much. But adjectives, some details, it definitely sets the mood. And you're just like, and then, couple that with the actual music, and you're just like, I need a moment. I think I'm actually getting red now.
But I wouldn't say it's anything really, like, bad. Like, I would not say it's not a
dark Otome, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the games, actually, you can't get a bad ending. It's just between a normal, a good, and a super good ending. Or a normal, happy, super happy. So take that also into consideration, and it's good for that. Yeah.
Well, I want to get to the list.
Yes, we do need to get to the list. That is true. And we actually, you know what? We're going to segue. So you want to know how to buy the Men of Yoshiwara. There are other ways. But let's also talk about a couple other Otomes. Really good discussion we had this week on Twitter. A lot of our friends, including Chestnut, Curly Wench, and very good friends of ours, Lady Renike and Healbot at Heart, they had asked us, what Otome should we get into, or what Otome game should we play? Renike and Healbot have already had experience. They've delved into the world of Otome, so they're just trying some new things out. But for some maybe newer audiences, they wanted to know, where should I start? And me and Sushi had a lot to say about that on Twitter. That took up a good 3 hours of my day, and I was very pleased with it.
Do you have the notes, or do you want me to?
I have the notes.
Okay.
I know the order that we have them in is alphabetical. Do we tell them in the order in which we think they should play them, or just keep it in alphabetical? Okay. So, all right.
I'm sorry to be pushy, but
no, go ahead.
If you are new to Otome game, and if Hatoful Boyfriend is your first Otome game, you literally have to go buy Hakuoki.
Yes.
You have to, because the rest of the world has played that as their first Otome game. It is the one game that bridges the divide of the continents. Now, everyone over there is sick to death of it because they have like a bazillion games over there that we do not. We have one. But it is, you have to get it. It's available pretty much on every platform. Mm-hmm. But it is an amazing story with amazing characters, amazing art. It is voice acted, and I have to tell you, get the best set of earplugs you can and listen to that ear porn and enjoy it. Because it's hard to find good ear porn like that. That's all I'm going to say. But it is so... I mean, you have to play that game.
In the league of games, per se, Hakuoki at the moment, and probably for many, many years to come, is regarded as king. It has, had so much longevity in its series. It's been adapted into an anime. It has been adapted into a manga. There's been so many sequels and side stories of this game that have been made available in Japan, which we hope will soon become localized over here in the States. So for a lot of the other titles, this is the AAA of the AAA. This is the big one to try. And truly, it is a rite of passage. The game is so fluid and smooth. I really shouldn't have used those exact words, but yes, I do mean it, though. They're so fluid and smooth into showing you how to properly play an Otome game. And I feel that the story, grips you. The characters and the archetypes you choose from are popular, dynamics and personalities that you're going to see in all other Otomes. And I think above all else, it's a game that's so visually appealing and stunning. You're going to see yourself wanting to play it more and more and more. And I think that it's a great start to really introduce yourself into the genre of Otome, and then to later, expand and learn to see what type of Otome you're into. So definitely Hakuoki. There are so many versions. There's Demon of the Fleeting Blossom, Memories of the Shinsengumi. I think there's Warriors of the Shinsengumi, Sweet School Life. Fuck, I know I'm missing at least 3 or 4 other ones. Definitely give them a shot. You will. This will be the game. This will be the game that will help you decide who your go-to typical husbando is.
Yep.
I know for myself, most Otome games that I play now, and even prior to Hakuoki, I realized I go for the strong, silent types and the ones that are extremely athletic. So Saito has been, he has been in my harem for so long, and he retains the title of king. No one holds a candle to Saito for me. I feel that this will be the game that helps you figure out your own too. And it's a long, long road to figure that out, but hopefully you can find that in there.
The story itself is romantic alone. And I sound like that article that we talked about last time, but it takes place during the Edo period, right, in Japan.
Yep.
And it just has this wonderful story and like really beautiful setting. It has history in it, guys. Like actual history. Like you can Google the men in that game, and they're real.
They were very popular Shinsengumi men between Saito, Sano, Hijikata, who was a very Toshitsu Hijikata, I forget, or Tojime Hijikata, but he's real. Soji is also another one. I believe Okita is also a very popular Shinsengumi. So it's educational too.
Yeah. So that is, anytime anyone asks me what should I start with or what should I play, I have to know if you've played that or not. That determines so much for me. And just, yes, go get it, gift it, whatever you want to do, but that game needs to be, if you love Otome, you need to play that game.
And it's I think the only one on our list that is, oh no, there's one other game on our wish list that's available on all platforms. I would highly suggest giving it a shot possibly on mobile first, whether it be iOS or Android, because you can choose one specific route and you are paying at most maybe $5, $6 total. If you see that you like the game that much and want to continue to purchase more routes, then at that point, just buy the whole game, and then whatever console you feel most comfortable playing it in, then you can buy it that way.
Oh, I will add, if you have a Vita, get it on the PSN, because the Vita is region unlocked.
Mm-hmm.
So you can import Japanese games and play them on your Vita. That's how I did Sweet School Life and Amnesia the first time. And there are guides online. I have a friend on Twitter who's fabulous, and she translates and sums up the routes. So if you have a Vita, you can definitely, it is pricey, but you can go on Amazon and you can import that game, and I'm sure you can find a summary of what you're going through. And my friend, hers was so great because with Amnesia, she would specifically pull out lines that were really important. So the minute I saw them pop up, I knew what they were saying in my ear. And so it was really nice. But if you have a Vita, that is another route for a lot of other Otome games as well.
A question for you then, Sushi. I know that this was the way it worked for me when playing on the PSP. When I was playing with the region unlock games, there's a different control button scheme between the X and the O, which is back and which is enter. Is it the Japanese version when playing the Japanese versions? Okay, so you still have to do it.
You up.
So in the beginning, that's another important tip. Pro tip for all you region unlocked players. Where you typically play X and O, X being enter, O being back, it's actually opposite in Japan, where O is enter, X is back. Keep a note of that. Otherwise, you're just going to constantly keep going back and not knowing why.
Yep.
Pro tip for you on that one. Aside from that as well, I think another important point is Hakuoki isn't a very dark game. I think you need to start with a very stereotypical cookie cutter Otome, and that's what Hakuoki is. If you want to try something a little more challenging and a little more complex, there are options available. I don't know. Do we say Amnesia next?
Yeah.
But I don't think you should play Amnesia right after Hakuoki. I think Men of Yoshiwara would be good after Hakuoki.
That's true. Yeah, we'll do that.
So,
you're right.
Smashy, can you please put up the link for the Men of Yoshiwara, please? That would probably be your next go-to one. That is a little more generalized. It's not as detailed and it's not as novelty as Hakuoki is, but it is still equally a good game in its own right. It's not a AAA title. That we are not giving you any surprises there on that one, but it is an amazing game for you to try. And I think for the PC version, because I don't believe Hakuoki actually has a PC version, or does it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think that's the one console that it's actually not available in. So if you maybe want to actually sit at your desk and play a game, the Men of Yoshiwara I would highly suggest. Both Kikuya and right now Ogiya, Men of Yoshiwara 2, Ogiya, when that comes out, they'll be available for mobile. So you have the option of PC or mobile when that comes available to you. We gave you guys already a great description about the Men of Yoshiwara. If you like it so much, definitely check it out. Kagura-san, you're my waifu. I love you. Got you for that.
I would add, it does. It does not have a Steam version. Thanks, Smashy.
Thank you.
The next one I would say to play, and I have not played it yet. I gotta finish Amnesia, but it's Code Realize.
Mm-hmm.
This game has gotten great reviews. Everyone I know that plays it loves it. It's next on my list, and I think it would be another good one. It is traditional, and I think it needs to be done before Amnesia.
Yes. The storyline, from what I've caught from it, is very steampunk Sherlock Holmes detective based. So if you're a fan of that mystery, without it being too complex, too challenging, and almost really a lot of mental mind games, this is probably a good game to try out. And the CGs on it are actually really, really pretty. If that's something that you find yourself attracted to, I've seen images of it, and they are gorgeous.
It is voice acted, and I just checking, it is PlayStation TV compatible as well. So if you want it on the big screen, or you want to stream it, you can do it that way as well. But that game has been on my radar since it came out in Japan last year, the year before. Time flies, and the minute it became available, I knew I wanted to play it. So
I think following that one, I would take Lorelai's suggestion, Heal About It Hurt, and check out Date Warp. It's a very fun, lighthearted Otome game, available exclusively only on the Steam console at the moment. And yeah, it's only available on the Steam. It's not available for mobile. Another game that's just a refresher for you. Maybe you've kind of seen yourself getting too immersed into the storyline and you just want to play something that'll just escape the time, give you something to do before you go to bed. Something that you can step away from and come back and not feel like you've missed out on much. Try Date Warp. The images for it, I think they're good. I think that they're top-notch quality? I don't know necessarily. I wasn't personally in love with them. But what I liked of the story and how it was explained to me, it seems like it's just a fun Otome game to play. And I think we need those from time to time because when you get so invested into a route and into a romanceable character, you find yourself at moments just almost depressed when the route's over. So sometimes you just need something fun to just excite you and just something to change the pace. I think Date Work would actually be it.
The next one, I know we're kind of moving fast, sorry, is Sweet Fuse By Your Side, and it was for the PSP, and it's available on the PSN, and that is a fun Otome. It kind of has, I don't know if you would call it a puzzle, but there is some like action, like I have the summary. No, I don't. Oh, whoops. I don't have it. But basically, you go to visit your uncle's theme park, and when they have the grand opening, and all of a sudden, everyone's taken hostage by a giant pig, and they pick a group of 5 people that have to go through these trials to if you make it through the trials, then they'll release the hostages, the rest of the hostages. So it's you with 5 other guys or 4 other guys, but you're doing this for your uncle. That's why you're doing this, to help him in his dream. And so you have a certain time period to figure out the puzzle and to complete it. And at the same time, you romance the gentleman of your choice. It is voice acted very well. The CGs are very good. It was hardest for me because I finished Hakuoki and I didn't know where to go or what to do. And I went to Sweet Fuse and I could not get over the artwork because it was not Hakuoki. But it is good artwork. Like, it is good. The CGs are good. The story is good. It's fun. It's a nice, fun game. It's like $10 on PSN. You can't go wrong. And I think there's like 4 or 5 guys. I can't remember, but I would recommend that as, a really fun one. And with it being on the Vita, you can easily pick it up and put it down.
I'm not sure which one I would put next on this one, but I feel like for different reasons, they're both hard in its own right. I just don't know if it's the game itself or the actual localization issue that we should choose next. You've actually played. Have you played Norn 9?
No, I have not, and I don't know if I want to, but I need to.
So this was another game that was very much heralded from the West and brought here to the States. Norn 9, Var Commons, is that right? Var Commons, if I'm not mistaken. It's on sale at the moment at the PS Vita store, so you have that option available to you. I would say this, and this is my only reservation about it. And mind you, I have not played the game. I've seen the images. It seems to me very maybe I'm wrong, but with the storyline and the scenario that it's presented with the boat and all these different protagonists you can choose from, it seems like it's a very complex game. I would not pick it up right now until the developers get the localization done right. I see that being the biggest issue right now with Nor 9. I think Nor 9 has such strong potential to be an amazing Otome game if they actually followed through on the localization. And there could be a myriad of reasons as to why Nor 9 is not at full localization rate, but maybe they needed to bring it out for, deadlines or reasons, what have you. I don't know the explanation behind it. But I've seen a lot of people within the community very upset at the fact that Nor 9 has a potential, or people that were looking forward to playing Nor 9 and finding themselves so sorely disappointed because the localization is so bad right now. And I've seen images. It's bad.
So, a friend on Twitter who she related this game to me as on the level of Hakuoki for her.
Mm-hmm.
So the minute I saw that it was being localized, I knew, because I respect her so much and we like a lot of the same things. And that game is seriously an extremely popular game. And the localization could have been done a lot better. And this is Sushi's little sidebar. I know we want more Otome games. I do. I want more AAA titles. I want anything and everything I can get my hands on, but I want quality.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So I like Total Biscuit, so I'm just gonna say, your money is how you send your message. So if you want to take that chance and buy this game, that's fine. I am kind of regretting that I purchased it personally. But really think about it. Do your research. If you can be fine with the localization as is, and maybe you're in it for CGs, or you think you're okay with it, that's fine. But if you're an Otome player and you really want to send a message to developers that we want the games, but we also want them quality, I would encourage you to really think hard about that purchase. But that's it.
And I would tack onto that, though, to also say, Sushi, that the message that we give to the developers can sometimes be reciprocated back to us in just a less than average quality game. Do not pirate Otomes. I cannot stress enough, please don't do that. That gives such a tarnished reputation for the community. And I know that some people are just fanatics of, I need to get my hands on this game. I need to get my hands on the game. I understand that, and I sympathize with you completely. I truly, truly sympathize with you on that. But if you want the whole package deal and you want it finished, just have the patience to wait. Yeah. It's an unfortunate situation and very much a catch-22 with Nor 9, in that a lot of people did wait. And once it was finally available in the States, the localization was a lesser quality than what we expected, even if it was just, maybe subtle glitches here and there with its localization. I see that a lot of the dialogue within the game is very, very skewed, very, very wrong. And it completely just sets a downward tone for the game. It doesn't even really set the story for the game. But do not feel the need to have to go on your own games and say, well, if this is what they're going to give me, then I'm just going to steal the game instead. Please don't do that, because they're going to completely block us from being able to even have the chance to obtain these games. So I cannot stress to you anymore, purchase these games. Hold out and wait. I know it's a long wait. Localization can take weeks, months, years possibly. But if you hold out, I'm very, very positive and hoping that it'll come to us in due time and it'll be exactly what we expected, if not more. So please be kind, be mindful of that. Be very, very mindful of that. Nor 9, it's a very different game in that you can choose from multiple protagonists, both male and female. And based on what protagonist you choose, also, I believe, gives you different options of romanceable characters. So there is a lot of customization on this. There's writing a guide for Nor 9, in my opinion, will probably be extremely difficult, because you would be going through so many routes, so many endings, and so many characters. I think, what was it? Was it 14 or 12 characters you could play, or romance?
Yeah.
When
I
you
don't remember
actually,
exactly.
yeah, when I actually wound up doing the math, I was like, holy shit, this is one that would take me probably months to do. And very few games with writing guides have taken me months. It's usually weeks that it takes me to write or compile a guide for myself for it. If you want that challenge, by all means, go pick up Norn 9. If you want to wait until we hopefully get a patch fix for an updated localization, hold out. Truly hold out.
Yeah.
And the last one, this is without.
Wait.
Go ahead.
So the only reason this game is last on our list, it's not because it's a bad game.
No.
It's just
No.
because it's a very intense game. And I would say, I mean, if you're here, obviously, hopefully you're 18 plus, but it has a lot of mature tones in it. It is a darker story. So that's why we saved it for last. Like, you should definitely play this game, but prepare yourself for the emotional baggage that will result because of it.
Oh God, this is a game. I'm trying to find a way to properly phrase this, and I don't want to offend or anybody. This is a game that comes with a lot of triggers. And when I say triggers, I mean for people who are very sensitive to things with regards to verbal, maybe verbal abuse, yelling, or even, greater situations of what you see on crime TV shows. It can be a very hard pill to swallow. If you are very sensitive to these triggers, if you are sensitive or you've encountered experience with maybe a very dominant significant other, I don't want to say this isn't the game for you, because I think the way that they portray it with the use of CGs is done it's classy, it's tasteful in the way that it's done, but it could still leave a little bit of a bitter taste in your mouth after the fact. If you feel that you cannot play this darker game, then by all means don't play it.
Yeah.
I would love to suggest this game to a lot of people. It's one that Sushi and I were in common agreement that we don't think it's the first game that you should play, not because you're not capable of beating it. Anybody's capable. I mean, my significant other wound up getting a normal ending on the first run through, knowing nothing about the game. It is very complex. It is a total mindfuck, and that is in and of itself the reason that I think that you would have to play this game with a little more experience of knowing what other visual novels and otomes are like. Really and truly. This is a game that comes to you with little to no context. It's very much a challenge because you don't even know what archetypes you're going up against, because as the premise of the story states, you have no memory. So you don't know who you're going up against. You may be under the impression that you're with a very sweet, wonderful guy, only to find out that he's a fucking psycho, a legitimate fucking psycho. And you're so way off the mark that you have to go through all the routes with the, knowing internally already that each route you're going to get probably at first go is probably going to be bad. But as you learn more about the story, you'll be able to successfully, reach the goals that you want for each game, whether it be good, really good, bad, or normal.
And I will say, we talked about this a little last week. This was the first Otome game where I thought I wasn't going to find a guy that I liked. And then I realized when I did find him, I would encourage you to, if you feel you need to put down this game, put it down.
Yes.
Because I'm playing it to make the guides for my blog, and I remember thinking, well, I got to plow through this because I got Code Realize, I got Norn 9, I got this, and I want to get CGs up, and I want to get this up. And so I'm rushing through and playing the game, and I'm just like, when I got to this one guy, I realized how much his route calmed me, because it was normal. It was a normal route with a normal person, and I'll put normal in quotes because who really is normal? But it was just, it was manageable. Like, I didn't realize how upset these other routes had got me, and how just it had affected me so much that I just wanted a fucking sane man in my life. And I wasn't finding it.
Sane man, I wanted a sane scenario. And I wanted a scenario without a fucking dog cage, without a cliff, without a whole bunch of shit. This is a game that actually set a little bit of fear for me. The reason I stopped and put away the game was because the ending that I had gotten on my first run through with a character was so demoralizing. It had the potential and it had its moments of romance, but the way it ended with such a demoralizing end, which surprisingly I fucking lived. I don't know how I pulled that one off, but I lived. It really just left me very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. I know for my sake and because I am very much a completionist, I'm going to go through all the routes because I want all the trophies. I want all the achievements. I want all the CGs. I'm going to go through it anyway. But this is a game that is not for the faint at heart. I say that in a very, I say that with no negative connotation. I don't say that in a mean context at all. I say that with the utmost sincerity. If you see that at some point you cannot continue this game, by all means, don't. It may not be for everyone. If you do choose to continue the game, I really do commend you because this is a game that challenges, plays with your mind. Mm-hmm. There's even fucking mathematics you have to do, and I fucking hate math. I hate it. I hate math.
I set you up for that. I'm sorry.
That's okay, and I think that's the reason why I'm probably taking that route last. I'll be brutally honest. But this is a game that challenges you on so many levels, and I want to overcome these challenges. That is my purpose for playing this game. Even if I come out of this game not having a favorite route that I enjoyed, I know that this game stimulated my mind in ways that other Otome games haven't done. And I feel that this game, as an Otome, specifically as an Otome, sets itself, far above as the leader of the pack because it's doing something so radically different than what we're so acclimated and accustomed to. For that reason alone, I'm very excited about this game. I still encourage people to play this game, but I do tell you with caution, just be careful. I really do.
You need some experience under your belt.
Okay, so I thought about that. I thought about that. This is the game that I think that if you don't know character archetypes that are available to you, that's okay because you're starting out on such a fresh slate, on such a clean slate from the beginning.
Right.
I think, and I thought about this, especially when Simodian was playing it. Simodian has no prior knowledge of any Otomes. He's played Katawa Shoujo for, commentary on a podcast, but he has little to no experience on Otomes. The fact that he still managed to get a normal ending, I think it's purely just a manipulative mind game. And I feel that if you can figure out the mystery, even if you're dead wrong or you're possibly on track, you could have the strong potential to get a normal ending like he did. I don't think experience is deemed necessary at this point. I think it's just having a strong stomach.
Yeah.
That's how I felt.
Corgi in chat, I don't want the fan disc then. Even though I heard on the fan disc, Orion has a route on the fan disc.
Yes.
I'd like to that.
Orion is a very interesting soul to me. I have moments where I'm extremely irritated by him, and there's moments that I'm extremely in love with him. I still haven't unlocked Ukiyo, and I'm very apprehensive about that one.
Yeah, after Toma's my last one, and then I'll have him unlocked, and I looked at his bad endings. There's like fucking 12 just for him.
I feel like he's the final boss. He's the Bowser of Otomes. Ukiyo. And now, if I'm not mistaken, in order to unlock Ukiyo, you have to get all good endings on all the other 4 routes, or is it super good endings?
All bad. You have to unlock, and Corgi, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you have to get everything, but I'm pretty sure you at least have to get all the bad routes, and some routes have multiple bad routes. I think you have to get the bad routes that include him, because you can get a bad route that does not have
him involved at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can confirm that with Toma. So
yeah. I mean, it's a beast of a game, really. I mean, when you think about it.
Beast of a game is an understatement. That was the game that had me pulling out my fucking hair. I was like, what is going on? Why is this real? Why? Why is this real? What? And then I got all excited at the end when I saw the last CG, but then when I saw the last CG for Toma and realized what happened to me, I was like, motherfuck.
Yeah.
It's a tough game.
Toma is a fan favorite in Japan, and I don't know why. But he's the fan favorite. So.
But in America, and I feel that I can confidently say this, tell me if you agree with me on this one, Stream, I think Kent is the fan favorite US side. Because I've heard nothing but rave reviews from Kent, which is the Clover route here in the States. But Toma's the fan favorite in Japan. What the fuck?
Yeah. Well, different cultures, maybe. Different.
Different.
You know.
I have yet to see a super good ending. So, yeah. You have to get all good ends for the other 4 first to unlock Ukyo. Okay, so you have to get all 4 endings to be good to unlock Ukyo. And then on the fan disc, you can unlock Orion.
Corgi likes Toma. Why? Tell me why. Educate me. Make me love him. I want to love him, but I don't want to eat his food.
I don't want to love Toma. I don't want to love Toma because Toma doesn't let me sleep in the bed. So I don't want to love Toma. Toma gave me a fear of the mailbox. That's why I don't love Toma.
It puts the lotion on its skin, or else it gets the hose again.
I literally had Silence of the Lamb quotes in my head following that route. Like, I was just like, oh my God, do I want fava beans with a glass of Chianti? I'm like, God, no. And the thing is I prayed to God. I fucked up. And this is another important point I need to make about Amnesia. Your saves, the specific locations of your saves are critical in this game than in most other Otomes. And I say that because if you've already gotten to a certain point, there's little hints of dialogue and little choices that you make, and then there's big choices that you make. Those don't discount those little choices. Those little choices are important, and if you save at them as opposed to the bigger choices that you make, it makes a dramatic difference in how you can change the route of the game. Otherwise, you're replaying the game over and over and over and over and over again. And I made that fatal mistake with Ikki. Toma, I just wrote him off. I was like, fuck this. Toma, we're done. We can't be friends no more. You're not getting a Christmas card from me. But with Ikki and even with Shin, I'm noticing your saves are important in this game. And it'll be definitely beneficial to you if you're one that also compiles and writes guides. Yeah. If you're one that doesn't care so much about guides, whatever. You can just replay it over and over again and just click on the text feed. But if you care about those things, be mindful of your saves.
And Corgi is right. In chat, she says that in Japan that type is really popular. I've heard that too. And I think from what I heard, Corgi, is that it's because he wants, I don't want to spoil it, but he's a protector. We'll just say that. And so from the little bit that I got, is that why that type is so popular? Because he is very much a protector.
That's a very loaded statement right there. That is a loaded statement. I understand exactly what you're saying.
Right.
But that is...
Literally, in the beginning, I was like you. I think you said, oh, wow, he even knows how to make my coffee. And I'm like, wow, he's great, but I know it's coming. And I'm like, please don't do this. And then it's like, hey, Sushi, don't you want some of this? And it's like, oh, God, it's starting.
It wasn't that for me. It was here, just stay at my house. Stay at my house for a few more days. I don't want anything to happen to your mailbox. The mailbox fucked with me so bad. And then, of course, the obvious of what happened. And the entire time, too, and this is another important thing. I learned this with Ikki's route. Depending on this game, you may not even be able to finish the route. I will throw this out there. There is potential for you to have a number of scenarios happen outside of just the scenario itself being bad.
Yeah.
Careful. Watch where you're walking.
It's dangerous to go alone.
Take a key. Take a fucking key. I didn't take a key and got the shittiest situation ever. Always have a key handy and make sure you have a fucking phone and a charger. I can't tell you after that game, I charge my phone all the fucking time and I make sure I have keys on me at all times. This game broke me.
I'm just happy I'm married after that game. I'm just really happy.
I had to apologize to Simodian so bad. I'm like, I'm never comparing you to another Otome character, which, by the way, I ended up doing it in the Men of Yoshiwara, so I lied. But I was so apologetic to him. I'm like, please don't do that. Please. And he would joke with me every now and then. He'd be like, what if I did do this? I'm like, no. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't make it happen. I almost wish he chose the Toma route so he could go back to me and be like,
I wanted him to, and I was thinking about this, and spoiler real quick, it's interesting that his is the last one at the bottom.
Are you saying in the sense of the level of difficulty or the severity of what happens as the end result?
The choice when you choose your world, he's the very last one.
Do you think it carries significance?
I don't know. It got me thinking about it. I was like, that's interesting. Because his good ending is called "You Have Bad Taste in Men." That is his good ending's title.
Really, Toma? I wouldn't have known. I fucking saw you. No, I thought, and this is the thing. You play a game like Amnesia. Amnesia becomes a game where it's like Lost. You try to find little hints and clues throughout the game because you know absolutely nothing. You have fucking amnesia. Yeah. So I didn't realize it at first when I played completely fresh for the first time with Icky. With Toma, I noticed I tried to like pretend it was an episode of Lost. And I'm like, is there something here that I should know? Like, is there anything that I should have, some type of like preconceived idea about? Should I keep cautious about this? This is the game that makes you paranoid as fuck on so many levels.
Yeah.
Why I keep playing is because for the CGs. I'll be honest.
And I will say, if you're looking for it for romance, and we talked about this last week, it was really hard for me to get in the mood because I was like, who the hell are you? What is going on? Like, you're hot, but what are you saying? Whoa, what are you doing?
The level of romance in this game is limited to the CGs and playing air hockey with them in a minigame. I felt more romance in the air hockey tournament I had with Toma than I did in my storyline. You think you're romanced by him. And I feel like this game was very much a scared straight approach by Japan. They're like, oh, you want to be in a relationship? Well, here, let's throw this game your way. This is a game that if you are looking for, the romance that you see in Men of Yoshiwara, it is not that. It is definitely a darker game. Yeah. The CGs may be a slight blush, but otherwise it's super not. It's super not. And I think this is also a game why I think people who are not looking for the romance element may enjoy it. And maybe that's why it does have such, great reviews. So, I don't know. Oh, Amnesia. I love this game. Let me end this, my thoughts with this. I love this game. I will still play it. I'm so invested into this game now because I want all these goals to be achieved. I want to overcome all these routes, get the trophies, get the CGs. I already finished the mini games portion. I'm done there. But it is emotionally taxing on you. It is very much a mental exhaust. It fucked with my head in a lot of ways. But if you can get past that, give it a shot. Give it a shot. And don't watch the anime, which, by the way, it is available as an anime series. I don't know.
Watch it after you finish the game.
Yeah, don't watch it before. Same to be said for Hakuoki. I think Hakuoki is another one.
Yeah, do not watch that anime before you play the game.
Be mindful of that. But, that is our Otome wish list. Ladies, gentlemen, cats, dogs, lovers, all alike, if you are interested in any of these games, we have provided a very lengthy list. Also, in the show notes and description of this available on YouTube, we'll also have these same links available to you guys. So be sure to check it out. One thing we do want to wrap up the show with, though, that we think is really, really important is this week in news and releases. So, Sushi, I know there was an important one that you wanted to talk about.
Yes. I follow a lot of Otome people on Twitter. And there is one person in particular, and I cannot pronounce their name, so I will not try. But they are a longtime Otome player, and they are making their own Otome game. They're using members of the community to write it, illustrate it, make music. It will be an original indie Otome game. I'm very excited about it. And they have a Twitter feed and a website, but they also have kind of a campaign going that I'm really hoping we can kind of help push. So the game will be called Precatio. I think that's how they're pronouncing it.
Mm-hmm.
So their Twitter campaign is that when they get 200 followers, they'll open the blog. 200 retweets, they'll tell you the story. At 250 followers, the characters will be introduced. As of today, right before the podcast, they had 139 followers and 94 retweets from that specific tweet that they want to be retweeted. So please check them out. Please follow them. They don't spam Twitter, so they won't fill up your feed. But once again, like we said last time, we want to help build a community, and the game will be in English.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a good opportunity for us to support our fellow Otome players and fellow Otome game makers. So please check out their Twitter. Even if you don't want to follow them, just help retweet it. And just encourage other Otome players that you know to share it and get it going, because once we know more, it'll be even more exciting. So if we can get more people to just retweet and follow, we'll know our story, we'll know our characters, and this person, they're working very hard on the story right now. They were tweeting about it earlier, and they want it to be very different than any other Otome game that we've experienced. So I just really wanted to plug that for them, and encourage you just to share that. So,
yeah, they're extremely personable online. They're super easy to talk to. They don't hold themselves on any pedestal or soapbox. If you have questions or if you want to get to know them better of who they are as people and who they are as a team, they're really open about that, and they're super friendly and super nice. I cannot stress, definitely give them the love. Tell your friends who are Otome fans and tell your friends' friends who are Otome fans. We definitely want to see this up and running, and I'm very excited to see how the story gets introduced, as well as the characters, and just see what's going to be available on the blog. So please definitely give them the love and definitely get that news out there to everyone. Let's do our part as a community. Yep. As well, on the iOS and Android, if you are familiar with the Shall We Date series, Scarlet Fate 2 is available. Yay! I played Scarlet Fate 1. On the mobile spectrum, aside from Amnesia and Hakuoki, Scarlet Fate is probably one of my favorite ones that I've ever played. Yeah. I had a really good time with it. It's one that really, they have the system and mechanics in place that really encourages you to be very interactive, very engaging, and to keep coming back each day to play it. I cannot tell you how excited I am. They are going to have Song of Spring, which is the sequel to Scarlet Fate, a story of fated lovers who have escaped from the cage of sins. They're also going to have a couple other routes, including the Summer Festival. At the Summer Festival in Kiku Village, friends and foes make an uproar. As well, Autumn Harvest is available. On a calm day of the fruitful autumn, you get to spend time with the person you love in many kinds of situations. Probably the one I'm going to choose first. And Winter Snowflakes, a future that might have happened to Tomonori and Aturi, who weren't saved in Scarlet Fate. If you have an urge, and I think this is what I'm really excited about with regards to Scarlet Fate 2, if you have found yourself kind of entranced of the idea of what Starry Sky is, I think that Scarlet Fate is, paying a tribute and a homage to them and really bringing this out, rolling this out, and making this available here into the States. Obviously, all versions of Starry Sky is not available and localized in English, but the fact that Scarlet Fate 2 is, gives me, just a little bit of peace of mind. Like, okay, maybe one day it'll happen. But this is entirely a game in and of itself that I'm really excited to see just flesh out. So many choices to choose from and so many seasons to try. I'm curious about how the characters are going to be, what the CGs are available. If you're one who may find romance under the cherry blossom tree during the spring, you got your spring route. If you prefer, the beach and the sand and the sun, go for summer. If you're somebody that likes to be kissed, while snow is falling, and I know many women who are like that, you got your winter route. And then there's me. I love autumn. I find it to be, the out with the old, in with the new, second chance for everything. The autumn route is probably the one I'm going to take. Definitely be sure to check this out, guys. It's going to be available on the iOS and Android.
And Smashy, it is out. Because I'm pretty sure. I think I bought it. So.
Oh, is it available?
Yeah, I think so. Each route is $3.99.
Mm-hmm.
And then the summer set, all 5
Is
$8.99 for all of the seasons. And then the Song of Summer, which is the sequel, is $5. So you can buy it on a route basis if you want. That way it's just $3.99. I would assume you probably have to beat the first Scarlet Fate before I would delve into this. And can I just say Kuso? Even though I know that means shit in Japan, and I don't know why they changed his name. It's spelled Cuso, and they changed it, and but he's a total jackass. But that's why I love him. Love him.
I don't remember if I got into Kuso's line. I don't think I did.
Oh my god! Like the last CG, and he's just like, "You're mine. We're making this now." I'm like, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir." Love it.
I will also say this, especially for you mobile users when having Otomes, watch the amount of memory that you have on your phone. It could take up quite a bit of space, especially with the CGs that you collect along the way. So if you're one that wants to play the game but doesn't want to use up a whole lot of space, just pick the routes as you choose. But if you don't care and you have tons of gigabytes of space, by all means, buy the entire game, because honestly, if you're really thinking about it, $14 for all of them, it's not that's quite a bargain. I mean, how many games do you find available now for $14 that gives you everything all inclusive? So
and
definitely
I will do a shameless plug here. I love CGs, and I post them on my website, the ones that I collect. I haven't updated. I'm doing Amnesia right now, and I need to add the Men of Yoshiwara ones up there. But so if you're looking for specific CGs for some of the games that we've mentioned, I probably have them up there. So if you don't want to save them, you can always go there. Mm-hmm. They're up there. I will keep them up there till the day I die. And they're a pretty good size. So just a little plug. It's sushigeisha.co, not com, because I can't afford to buy that, but .co.
We're going to set up a Kickstarter fund to give her an M. And that M is for the money. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
Yeah, but definitely
just gets me filthy rich.
Actually, I'm going to put it here. sushigeisha.co. Also, pizzamade.moe. I don't really talk much about Otome games on there. I'm actually more Final Fantasy 14 based. If you want to check it out, feel free to. Every now and then, I'll post something. Very rarely, though. I'm usually too busy blushing. There's another important thing we should make about this, and I think it's actually important with this next Voltage announcement coming up that we should tell them with regards to CGs.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So, guys, be careful with the CGs. Mm-hmm. Do not claim them as your own. Not that you would. I wouldn't know why you would, but do not do it. Certain studios frown upon sharing of the CGs and stuff like that. I think Voltage is one of them. So I'm not sure. I'm sure you could delve into the world of Tumblr and find out what they want you to do. I do not play Voltage games, honestly. I'm more of a shall we date girl. But I know Voltage has a huge following. But just be careful with the CGs. Do not claim them as yours. Most of the AAA titles will put a little watermark on it that says that it's theirs. But yeah, just a heads up in case you want to share those. Oh, and please let people know that there will be spoilers.
Yes.
And then it may seem silly because you're like, well, you knew you guys were going to kiss at some point, but it ruins the moment for a lot of people. So, just be careful with some of that stuff.
For the most part, I know with a lot of the people that I follow on Tumblr, as well as their social media, they're very good about their spoilers. They're very respectful of it, and they'll express their excitement in other ways. I know for ourselves as well, when we're on our respective streams, we let them know you're going to see spoilers in this game. So if you have not gone down this route, prepare to be surprised. It's going to be spoiled for you, but we try to do our best to be respectful of everybody who's maybe playing for the first time. So just be mindful of that. Also, if it's not safe for work, let them know that it's not safe for work. Common courtesy, common gamer courtesy. But speaking of Voltage, My Wedding and Seven Rings, Hasi Kakuyin Forbidden Route is now available on the iOS and Android. I have not played this Otome.
I have not either, but I know it's popular, so I wanted to put it out there. So I'm not sure what's happening, but it's happening. So, and it's forbidden. So get in on that shit.
I hear Asahi's a good beer. I hope he's as good a man as he is a beer. So go for the gold.
Right.
That's about all I can say about that. And let us be clear, we don't hate or dislike Voltage greatly.
No.
It's just not our cup of tea. I actually find my phone, for whatever reason, crashing an awful lot when playing Voltage games, and it could just be something on my end, internet connection or whatnot. That's just really the reason I don't play them all that much. So.
I just don't have the time to play all these Otome games and JRPGs, and
I have so many mouths to feed we have too many mouths to feed in our own Otome harems that, you know what I mean? Yes. You tack another one on, it's just, gotta start rationing shit. It's a big old mess. Nobody wants that. I only have so much rice for every man. But I think that'll actually do it for this week's episode. We want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Definitely next week, next Friday, which is going to be, the 4th? December 11th. We will be back here for another rousing episode of Heroines of the Cherry Blossom. If you have any questions, be sure to tune in at twitch.tv/CBHeroines. If there's anything that we missed on the show that you want us to cover for next week, by all means, be sure to reach us on Twitter, twitter.com/ No, it's not a backslash. Oh, Vince is going to kill me for saying that. /CBHeroines. Be sure to check it out. If you guys want to also follow us on Twitter, you can follow me at Pizza Maid, Sushi Geisha at Sushi Geisha. And of course, don't hesitate to choose the follow button if you liked what you saw. If you missed an episode and you want to catch up on it, there will be archives available on YouTube. And as always, you can also find this updated on iTunes, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. We have covered all the bases. The only thing that's left is carrier pigeon.
Oh no, don't say pigeon. Don't say pigeon.
I'm going to do that every episode. Every time somebody says pigeon, you're just going to hear bop, 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 bop. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will see you next week, guys. So we'll talk to you soon.